Welcome to TEDx. We're in the Concertgebouw Amsterdam. I'm going to talk with Jimmy Nelson, who works as a photographer. Mr. Nelson, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
What was the moment in your professional life that you were closest to death?
Now you got me thinking. The moment I was closest to death was not necessarily in my professional life. It was in my very, very early 20s when I started working as a photographer. Whether I was a professional or not is debatable. I was at the very early stages. I hadn't studied. I just had a camera and I bought a ticket and I'd landed in a war zone. I very naively was actually more looking for myself than the subject matter I was trying to photograph. I thought it looked cool and stoer, as you say in Dutch, and camera around my neck, and off I went. And I was on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan in 1987. So the Russians had been there for a few years and I was going to be on my first, and I came very close to death then.
In which way?
By putting myself in a situation I didn't understand. And I carried on doing that for a few more years, but it was more a case of, it wasn't the subject matter, I was in, how far could I push myself?
Were you under fire or did you pass a
we
tank?
We were under fire. There were howitzers coming at us from the valley below, and we were lying in shelter and they were landing around us.
You have been in quite some situations that were, let's say, narrow escapes. And what is it that drives you to those situations?
Well, please forgive me, I'm almost going to contradict you, is the lessons I learned in my early youth and a number of lessons of near-death experiences. I've rarely been in those experiences since. I do take myself in my work to some of the most remotest and isolated places in the world, but invariably I'm very safe there.
Okay.
It's a bit of a contradiction.
Although also when you piss outsed a tent,
but there's nothing's going to happen.
40.
I'm just going to be laughed at. I'm just put down. There's not a life near-death experience. More often than not, what I've experienced in more recent years, and I have a family, I have 3 teenage children, they live around the corner here, so I have a responsibility. So I'm not a Walter Mitty character.
So you found out how far you can go?
I found out a long, long time ago, very, very early in my early 20s, the limits to what I could do. I was in El Salvador when they were fighting. I was in Somalia. I went to the Yugoslavia at the very beginning. Okay. So I had an awful lot of experiences.
And coming back to my question, what is it that you want to go there? What is it that drives?
There are two answers to that question. One is very selfish. It makes me very, 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 and I underline it one last time, happy. Because I see the essence of who I am and who they are. I communicate and interact on a level with people in environments that are of the wildest beauty that I could ever imagine. The pictures I make only scratch the surface of what I see and experience. Second to that, if by making these photographs I can act a little bit like a messenger, and I don't want to be evangelical, I'm not a Buddhist, I haven't found God in any way, but I have spent many, many years experiencing these experiences and making these pictures. And I've begun to see and feel things that I think are worth communicating with us. Yeah. I have 2 lives. I have my life when I'm working away, and I have my life here around the corner. And I'm continually looking for that balance, and on a daily basis. And I feel very much that I'm in tune with that balance. I'm in focus with that balance because I have continual objectivity. Yeah. Most people don't have to get on a plane and fly off to far than Siberia to find that. So I feel if I can in some way be a little bit of help by making a few pretty pictures and to bring that in discussion.
You say, I haven't found God. What did you find?
What did I find? I suppose you're at length, you're continually looking for yourself, but whilst you're looking for yourself, you're trying to find how you can communicate with people. You're trying to find real experiences. You're trying to find, I related a story in the talk just then with the Chukchi in Chukotka, furthest corner of the planet. There is no language that you can communicate. But by being utterly desperate, by being utterly vulnerable, by being cold, by being scared, by being terrified, you push yourself to, there's an expression in English called touching the void. The void is looking over the edge. Yeah. Most of us don't dare go there. I, for one reason or the other, go there, but not in a life or death experience, but in an emotional experience. I want to go as close to the edge as I can to feel.
And what does that say about you?
I don't know.
Try.
Think about it. What does it say about me? I don't think there is ever an end I think it's an unending journey. It's a bit like, you know, there isn't a destiny, there isn't a destination. It's a continual...
It's like in Buddhism, it's
continual
all about the
look for
road,
balance.
not the
It's
goal.
it's a continual balance. It's about being happy today. It's about a few weeks ago, something which made me exceptionally happy. My youngest daughter goes to school around here on the museum plane, and I want to make a school picture.
You wanted to make a
I
school
made
picture,
a school picture
that's
of the
funny.
kids. So I organised with the school. I said, can I get all the school in the museum plane here around the corner? I want them all wearing white. I'm going to get the brandweer to help me get a truck, and I want to photograph them all from above. It's an awful lot of work, an awful lot of effort. There's no financial exchange. I haven't gone to the school. You have to pay me to do this. I want to do this because this makes me happy, and I know it's going to make you happy. So a few days later, we got the whole school standing on the square around the corner here. I'm high up above looking down, and I made this picture a few years ago, and it was beautiful. And everybody goes, oh, Jimmy, nice picture, nice picture. But all the kids are sort of looking up, and they go from 6 to it's 12, and they're all in long faces. And I said, I've got to get them laughing. I've got to make the same picture with them laughing. So I said to the brandweerman, I said, je moet mijn broek naar beneden trekken. And he said, ik snap het niet. And I said, gewoon maar doen, gewoon maar doen. So as I was about to make the picture, he pulled my trousers down, and all of a sudden, all 300 kids burst out into spontaneous laughter. And in that second, I made a picture where every single person in that picture's mouth is wide open in hysteria. The picture is now hanging in the school around the corner, and it makes everybody happy. It makes me happy. And that's the zoektocht of the balance, what I experienced with the
And what is it that you want to say to us with all these pictures?
Be aware of what's around you. Be aware of your life on a daily basis. The irony is we're all now photographers. My dog has a camera, for Christ's sake. That's great. That should be a fantastic, we should celebrate that. But with that camera, be aware of what's happening around you. Be aware of your life. We're running. I'm one of the worst examples of it. I run from A to B, like a headless chicken sometimes. Use the camera to slow down, like I do when I'm away. Use the camera like I do when I'm with the Chukshis, to watch, to observe, to communicate, to participate. We've all got our iPhone. Use it to watch, to record, to see who's around you. The message I brought into the school, again, it's selfish, made me very happy to do that. I laughed, they laughed. I make something, I make a picture, I hang it on a wall. Every day people walk past it. I hope it touches them. And that's the journey I'm on. It'll never end.
Last question. When you make these pictures, up until which level do you have the illusion that they will contribute to the existence of these indigenous people?
Illusion, okay, good words. Am I eluding myself, we say in English? I don't know, but I'm going to try. I don't have the answer. I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not a sociologist, I haven't studied since I was 18, but I do know one thing, I've experienced something very profound, and I can make a few pretty pictures. And with that, there is a dialogue, there is a conversation we can have. Where we end, I don't know. Where we conclude, I don't know. Do I have the answers? I'm not sure, but I can start in that process. And I think I'm a romantic. I think you have to believe that. You have to stand by yourself. And if somebody says, oh, Jimmy, it's not going to change anything. Bullshit.
There's a nice Dutch saying, and I will try to translate it in English. It's a drop on a hot plate.
Yeah, but you know, if I can be one of those drops, well, join me. You've all got cameras now. You can also be a drop too, and maybe it becomes a flow and a flood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
Success.
listening to me. And thank you.